Ain't that Brandy's brush? Straight from the east side, and that's how I ride.
Ray J, you've been making a whole lot of noise, man. And I know you didn't think I was gonna let your black down here and not talk about this.
Yeah.
All right, now.
True story.
Yes, it is.
It's a true story.
About
my life.
About your life.
And it's the beginning of a story that I'm telling.
Right.
The homies used to call me movie star blood because I used to be on TV at that time.
Movie star blood.
Right? And so that's what they call me.
If you didn't know Ray J had gang ties, don't worry, you're not alone. In fact, Ray J's street credibility is kind of like his music career, occasionally mentioned, widely debated, and mostly overshadowed by a certain infamous tape. The man who once sang One Wish might have had more than one wish granted when it came to rubbing shoulders with the Piru Bloods, but does that mean he was really about that life?
So I want y'all to give it up for Charles.
I know what you're thinking. Ray J, singer, the same as Moesha, the reality TV star, and Mob Piru.
How you feeling?
I'm a little surprised.
Yeah, you heard that right. The man who brought us One Wish and a whole lot of Kim Kardashian drama also claims to be a certified gangster. While some might argue that Ray J's claims are unsubstantiated, numerous well-known Pirus have publicly backed him, affirming his genuine affiliation. But here's the thing. Is Ray J really about that life, or is this just another Hollywood fairy tale? Let's get into it.
I had no idea. You a Piru?
Born William Ray Norwood Jr. on January 17, 1981. In Macomb, Mississippi, Ray J was raised in a musically gifted family. His father, Willie Norwood Sr., was a talented gospel singer and choir director, and his older sister, Brandy, would go on to become an R&B superstar.
Raised in the spotlight, been doing this since we were young, been around the world.
The Norwood family has long been deeply rooted in the music industry, with connections extending far beyond just Ray J and Brandy. Their father, Willie Norwood, was a well-respected gospel singer and vocal coach. Through his work in the industry, he nurtured not only his children's talents, but also maintained ties with influential figures in R&B and hip-hop. One of the most notable connections is with Snoop Dogg, who happens to be a first cousin to the Norwood siblings. In the early 1980s, the Norwoods relocated to Carson, California, where Ray J and Brandy were heavily involved in music through their church. Their father worked closely with choirs, while their mother, Sonia, later managed their careers.
Hi. Hi. I'm really glad you came over.
Ray J got an early start in entertainment. He started acting in the early 90s, appearing in TV commercials by age 8, landing a role as a foster child on The Sinbad Show, 1993, 1994, and later Moesha, alongside his sister Brandy. At the same time, Brandy had already signed a recording deal with Atlantic Records, and their mother dedicated herself full-time to managing their careers. While most kids were playing outside, Ray J was on set, growing up in an industry where his biggest challenge was probably memorizing lines, not dodging rivals in Compton. While Brandy skyrocketed to fame with her self-titled debut album in 1994, Ray J pursued his own path in music and acting. His transition into music was smooth. He signed with Elektra Records in 1995, releasing his debut album Everything You Want in 1997, though it didn't achieve much commercial success. Despite this, Ray J kept his career going with appearances on TV shows like Moesha, alongside Brandy, and The Proud Family.
Just grateful. And I'm grateful that success has also found my little brother.
Ray J's true breakthrough in music came in 2005 when he scored a hit with One Wish, released on November 22, 2005, as the lead single from his third studio album, Radiation. The song became one of his most successful tracks, peaking at number 11 on the Billboard Hot 100 and solidifying his place in the R&B scene. Ray J became known for his signature brand of R&B, which leaned more toward romance than ruthless street anthems. But Ray J's career didn't stop at music. The man is an entrepreneur, reality TV king, and marketing genius. He gave us love and hip-hop Hollywood moments, memes that live rent-free in our heads.
What did you do?
Like, I didn't mean for it to happen. It's just, we be talking, hey, what's up, I want you to get on this song, and then...
Why did you do that? Listen, I thought that you would deny.
Despite his success, Ray J's career was often overshadowed by controversies. In 2007, his infamous S-tape with Kim Kardashian leaked, skyrocketing her to fame while putting Ray J in the headlines for all the wrong reasons. This single event played a major role in launching the Kardashian empire.
You have the wrong black person, period. You don't on black men.
Although Kim initially pursued legal action, she later settled with Vivid Entertainment, which distributed the tape. Over the years, rumors persisted that its release was orchestrated, with Ray J later claiming it was a business deal involving Kim and Kris Jenner. The controversy resurfaced in 2021 when Whack 100 claimed a second tape existed, and Kanye West later retrieved a laptop with alleged footage. However, Kim's team denied any unreleased content. Not long after, he also had a highly publicized feud with rapper Fabulous. Ray J's beef with Fabulous started in 2011 after Fab joked on Twitter about Ray J's appearance in Floyd Mayweather's 24/7 HBO special. Ray J, feeling disrespected, allegedly confronted Fab in Las Vegas and later called the Breakfast Club, claiming he punched Fab and boasted about his wealth. Fab, however, denied being hit and downplayed the incident, making Ray J's rant go viral, although the feud never escalated beyond that, and over time it became more of a humorous hip-hop moment than a serious conflict.
Don't disrespect me. I'ma smack you up again, fool.
All right, so Ray J,
That's what I'm
let's
saying.
In 2017, he launched Raycon, a direct-to-consumer electronics brand specializing in wireless audio products. His unbreakable glasses demonstration, where he insisted they couldn't break only to have them snap, became a viral meme.
Listen, don't challenge me, Ray J. I will break them.
Listen, Speedy, they're unbreakable. They cannot break. It's impossible. I don't care.
As if the drama weren't enough, in a 2016 interview, Ray J dropped this bombshell. He was active in Mob Piru as a teen, and the homies called him Movie Star Blood. Now let's break that down.
The homies used to call me Movie Star Blood because I used to be on TV at that time.
Movie Star Blood.
Right? And so that's what they call me.
He's claiming he was out here running with one of the most notorious gangs in LA. For those unfamiliar with the Bloods, Bloods is one of the most notorious street gangs in the United States, originating in Los Angeles, California during the early 1970s. Within the Bloods are various subsets, one of the most well-known being the Piru gang. The Piru Street Boys, founded in Compton, California, were initially affiliated with the Crips but later split from them, forming what eventually became the Bloods. Today remains one of the most infamous Blood-affiliated sets, known for its deep ties to both street culture and the rap industry. One of the most high-profile figures associated with Mob Pirus was Suge Knight, the co-founder of Death Row Records. Under his leadership, Death Row became a dominant force in hip-hop, signing legendary artists like Tupac Shakur, Dr. Dre, and Snoop Dogg. Suge's reputation for intimidation and violence, and his known ties to Mob Pirus played a major role in the label's success and its controversies. The East Coast-West Coast rivalry, which defined the 1990s hip-hop scene, was fueled by gang affiliations. Tupac Shakur, who was close to Suge Knight and Death Row, openly feuded with the Notorious Big, and Sean Diddy Combs, affiliated with Bad Boy Records on the East Coast. The conflict escalated into one of hip-hop's darkest chapters, with both Tupac and Biggie being murdered in drive-by shootings within 6 months of each other. Tupac in Las Vegas, September 1996, and Biggie in Los Angeles, March 1997. To this day, the Piru gang remains a significant presence in Los Angeles, and its influence in hip-hop continues, with many artists referencing the set in their music. However, the legacy of Bloods and Piru within the music industry remains controversial, tied to both cultural influence and violent history. But here's the kicker. Nobody seems to take Ray J seriously when he confessed his gang affiliation. I mean, come on, Movie Star Blood sounds more like a Netflix series than a gangster nickname. Let's be real. When you think of Ray J, you think of 3 things: R&B music, reality TV, and being Brandy's little brother. You don't think of a feared street figure running the blocks of Compton. Yet, over the years, Ray J has been vocal about his supposed gang ties, insisting that he was really about that life. And while some rappers get caught up in allegations of false flagging, with Ray J, it's almost become a running joke.
I was surprised. As long as we've known each other, I never knew that side of you.
Now, let's consider the possibility that Ray J was really about that life. It's not entirely out of the question. He did grow up in Carson, right next to Compton. He has been around real street figures. And let's not forget, he once allegedly threatened Fabulous with some real goons. Growing up, while his family pushed for a structured upbringing focused on entertainment, Ray J had a rebellious streak and often found himself involved in the local scene. It seemed Ray J was drawn to the streets. Carson, where the Norwood settled, was home to multiple gangs, including the Centerview Pirus. Though some OGs discouraged him from joining due to his growing career, Ray J still associated with members and reportedly became affiliated with the Centerview Pirus.
I used to hit up outside of the hood every day, the hood.
Spray
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When I was 12 and 13. But usually when you start doing you like a little kid. And then it goes into like the teenage years. And
his cousin, Snoop Dogg, was already a rising star in the hip-hop industry, and Ray J often tagged along with him, further solidifying his connections to Death Row Records and the gang culture surrounding it. Now, to be fair, there is some evidence that Ray J has spent time around real street figures. He was closely associated with Suge Knight, who was as deep in the streets as they come. Ray J even claimed that Suge put him in charge of Death Row Records at one point, which sounds about as realistic as the sky being yellow. The Suge Knight connection adds an interesting layer to Ray J's claims. While it doesn't necessarily confirm his gang affiliation, it does suggest that he had proximity to people who were really about that life. But there's a big difference between knowing gangsters and being one.
Suge is really the person in the studio, like giving you your inspiration. Like anytime I've been in the studio with Suge, he always kind of broke down like what about on songs and stuff.
Ray J himself has acknowledged his connections, stating in interviews that he grew up around that lifestyle. He even released a song called Centerview and performed it alongside Piru members as a nod to his neighborhood.
But you actually a Piru, right?
In a recent interview, Ray J addressed speculation about his gang ties, particularly his connection to the Piru blood. The revelation surprised many, as he has never publicly glorified or emphasized his gang affiliation. When asked about a previous statement where he mentioned Bloods and Crips, he clarified. He explained that it was more of a figure of speech rather than a literal declaration. He explained that the phrase emphasized his seriousness and wasn't meant to be taken literally.
I was just playing when I said on Bloods and Crips, meaning like, I'm serious. That was a kind of a joke, like on Bloods and Crips, because I was just joking. Yeah, that's why I was a joke.
While most people see him as an R&B artist, those who truly know him understand that he grew up in a tough environment. Raised in Centerview, Carson, he was heavily involved in the streets from an early age, around 12 or 13 years old. While some might find it hard to believe, he emphasized that those from Los Angeles recognize the reality of that lifestyle, while outsiders often view it as a fairy tale. Unlike those who try to join later in life, people who grow up in these environments don't see it as a choice. It's simply a way of life shaped by the people they love and trust. However, he stressed that being part of a gang almost always leads to tragic outcomes. Despite his past, Ray J acknowledged that many of his mentors and big homies always pushed him towards success. Even when he was still in the streets, they recognized his potential and urged him to focus on music and entertainment instead. They called him movie star blood because of his presence on television, believing he had no reason to be involved in the gang lifestyle. However, Ray J made it clear that he doesn't like to dwell on the details of how he got involved. While he acknowledged going through the initiation process and being put on, he felt that discussing it was unnecessary, as it was irrelevant to who he is today. While reflecting on his past affiliations, Ray J emphasized that his focus is now on creating positive change. He introduced his new initiative, Gang Up, which aims to provide opportunities for individuals with gang backgrounds. The project is designed to open new doors and give people a fresh perspective beyond street life. He also noted that gang involvement typically starts young, often between the ages of 12 and 18, before many individuals transition into new phases of life, such as attending college or starting families. Though the affiliation may remain a part of one's identity, priorities tend to shift over time. Through Gang Up, Ray J and his team hope to redefine the future for many young people involved in gangs by offering them new opportunities and a positive direction. So what do the real gangsters have to say about this? Well, not much. When it comes to Ray J's so-called gang ties, the streets are mostly silent. No OGs are vouching for him. No war stories. Just Ray J is telling us he's about that life. One of the strongest arguments against Ray J's supposed gang affiliation is the lack of recognition from real gang members. Within the gang culture, credibility comes from acknowledgement by others within the set. However, Mob Piru OGs and active members rarely, if ever, mention Ray J when discussing the gang's history or leadership. The game acknowledged that Ray J has ties to the Piru Bloods, but he did not portray him as a violent or high-ranking member of the gang. In an interview, the Game mentioned that Ray J's gang affiliation was more about loyalty than active involvement in criminal activities. He even shared an instance where Ray J refused to take sides during a dispute because of his ties to the gang.
That's interesting. What's the whole story with Ray J, the whole Piru thing?
It's just Los Angeles, bro.
However, the Game did not elaborate on Ray J's status within the organization, reinforcing the idea that while Ray J may be associated with the Piru Bloods, he was never seen as a major figure in their ranks. Unlike figures like the Game, YG, or even Chris Brown, who have received cosigns, whether positive or negative, from real blood members, Ray J's name hardly ever comes up in authentic gang-related discussions. In fact, some street figures have outright dismissed his claims, implying that his involvement was more about proximity rather than genuine membership. If Ray J were as involved in the set as he claims, we would expect to see more acknowledgement from OGs, shoutouts from active members, or even references in gang history discussions. But in reality, there's almost nothing to support his claims besides his own words. A key part of Ray J's street credibility argument often revolves around his relationship with Suge Knight. He has made it clear that he was around Suge during some of Death Row Records' most notorious years. However, being next to a gangster doesn't make you a gangster. If you remember, Suge Knight was a dominating figure in the industry and had real ties to the Mob Pirus Bloods. Many artists, executives, and industry insiders were in his orbit, but that didn't automatically grant them gang status. Even though they worked with gangsters, it didn't mean they were involved in the set's activities. The same applies to Ray J. While he may have had close relationships with Suge and other Mob Piru figures, that doesn't equate to being a fully fledged gang member. Many industry figures associate with gangs for protection, networking, or even marketing purposes. But that doesn't mean they put in work or were active in street politics. Another telling sign that Ray J's gang ties might be exaggerated is that real Mob Piru OGs never include him in their discussions about the set's history. Gang culture is built on reputation, and those who truly put in work or made an impact within the gang are remembered and spoken about. When looking at discussions from real Mob Piru members, whether in interviews, street documentaries, or conversations among active members, Ray J's name rarely, if ever, comes up. Figures like Bounty Hunter BJ, Reggie Wright Jr., and Suge Knight himself have spoken at length about the Mob Piru Bloods, their history, and key figures in the set. Yet, Ray J's name is absent from these discussions. If Ray J were truly an integral part of the gang, it would be nearly impossible to exclude him from these conversations. Instead, his claims seem to exist in isolation, with no real street figures backing them up. To top it all off, Suge Knight himself has denied Ray J's association with Mob Piru. In a recently recorded message, former Death Row Records CEO Suge Knight addressed the ongoing controversy surrounding Ray J's alleged gang ties and involvement with Death Row. Suge Knight isn't holding back when it comes to Ray J's alleged ties to Death Row Records and the street life. In a recent recorded message, he made it clear that Ray J had no real affiliation with the original Death Row era and was never part of the movement he now claims to represent.
Because he wasn't around then. You know, Ray J went to home study. He didn't go to elementary school, junior high school, high school. He was a child actor. So he don't know those things.
According to Suge, Ray J's past doesn't align with the stories he's telling. Unlike those who were deeply involved in the streets and the music industry's most infamous moments, Ray J grew up homeschooled as a child actor, far removed from the realities of the culture he now speaks about. While he may have been around certain figures later in life, he wasn't present during the key moments that shaped Death Row's legacy. One of the biggest claims Suge refuted was Ray J's supposed presence at Can-Am Studios, where some of Death Row's most legendary albums were recorded. Suge emphasized that while many artists passed through, the only major album truly completed there was All Eyes on Me, and Ray J was nowhere in sight. Suge himself had to set up a studio environment at Can-Am during his house arrest, making it clear that those who were actually there knew the truth. Beyond the music, Suge also addressed something even more serious: Ray J's claim that he owns the rights to Suge's life story. For Suge, this wasn't just about false narratives. It was about someone interfering with his family's financial future. He made it clear that legal action would follow, ensuring that Ray J wouldn't profit off of his name or history.
With Snoop said he had something to do with the homie and all this, and Baby Style. Everybody throwing gossip, playing these games.
The conversation also turned to Ray J's past association with Diddy. Suge pointed out the contradiction in Ray J aligning himself with someone who had long been at odds with the death row camp, especially after the events surrounding Tupac's death. It was a direct challenge to Ray J's credibility. Someone who had spent time living under Diddy's roof couldn't now claim deep ties to the very people who were in conflict with him.
You with Puffy, you was living with Puffy. Y'all was sharing beds. I said, don't go on there talking about Pac, because you enemies.
Suge's message wasn't just about calling out Ray J, it was about setting the record straight. He made it clear that he wasn't interested in playing industry games or fabricated stories. He also expressed frustration with how people like Ray J twist reality, suggesting that the more he tries to stay positive, the more others try to bring him into negativity. With the way things are, Ray J might be getting sued.
Now I'm gonna sue you a little, and I'm gonna get every dime you get, every dime your mama hide. For you and everybody else.
At the end of the day, Suge's stance is simple. Ray J was never a core part of Death Row. He wasn't involved in the label's defining moments, and his name doesn't hold weight in the streets the way he wants people to believe. Suge remains focused on his own life, but he isn't going to let anyone rewrite history. Especially not someone who was just a spectator, not a participant. Let's be real. If anything, Ray J's legacy is tied more to pop culture chaos than gang culture credibility.